The climate commitment for India to set a net zero climate goal by 2070, the nation will raise the renewable energy use by 2030 and the developed world to make those available and $1 trillion for the climate adaptation. The India's net carbon emission that has been pledged to zero by 2070, even as the exhorted developed countries to make available those funds to tune of $1 trillion for the climate adaptation and the mitigation of those effects. India, the world's third largest emitter of greenhouse gases, would scale up its non-fossil energy generation capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030, meet those 50% of the energy requirement for the renewable by the same deadline, bring down its total projected carbon emission by 1 billion tons within 2030 and also bring down the carbon intensity of the economy to below 45% by the end of the decade. With India making such commitment to reduce its carbon footprint, it would need the finance and technology to fulfill these targets. To make available the finances for the mitigation and adaptation, so far as the country raising their ambition to reduce those carbon emission. The pledges for finance cannot remain the same as they were at the time of the Paris Agreement. The important factor for this pledge that has been referred as 2050 Climate Summit in Paris. India has made a new commitment with a new energy to move forward with its promises. The climate finance and low-cost climate technology becomes more important in future. India hopes that developed countries make available those $1 trillion for the climate finance, and India's commitment to net zero emission by 2070 may take some pressure off from Asia's third largest economy to help stop global warming issues. The sign of shying away from committing to a date by which it would achieve a net zero and not updated its nationally determined contribution, that pledge given by the country to bring down its greenhouse gases emission. India is seeking time till 2070 to achieve the net zero emission, while others have committed to net zero by 2050 or 2060. Indian negotiation may face some rough weather ahead. US, China and Russia for their seamless ambition for the climate goal, and China has also pledged to achieve the net zero emission by 2060. The world has already warmed 1.1 degrees centigrade. Current projection based on those planned emission that cuts over the next decade are fit for its 2.7 degrees centigrade by next 80 years, and the main aim for the Glasgow conference is to cut those carbon emissions fast enough to keep the global warming below 1.5 degrees centigrade. The pre-industrial level, and the world has already warmed the 1.1 degrees Celsius. More than 130 world leaders gathered at an average age of over 60, while the generation that would be most harmed by the climate change are not yet born. That's the important parameter, and that's the time for action to come to tackle and the climate change issues. And the United Nations Climate Summit and G20 leaders, at the close of their meeting, they offer some climate pledge instead of commitment of firm actions, saying they would seek those carbon neutrality by or around mid-century, and that the countries also agreed to end the public financing for the coal-based power generation, but and also set no target for phasing out those coal domestically. Another aspect to handle these climate change issues to maintain and mitigate the global warming causes. The plan for the world first transnational network as an ambitious plan for the interconnected solar power grid and the Green Grids Initiative, One Sun, One World, One Grid at the United Nations Climate Conference. And the initiative aims to provide the countries across the world with clean energy from the sun to a series of interconnected grids. Australia, France, India, US and UK are the main members of the initiative, which has the backing the 80 members of the 100 nations of strong international solar alliance. India and France also launched the International Solar Alliance on the sidelines of the Paris Summit in 2015. The fossil fuels had sparked those industrial revolution, and they have had impoverished the environment. Moreover, the fossil fuels have triggered the geopolitical tensions. The challenge is that the solar energy is available only in a day and it's also dependent on weather. The one sun, one world and one grid is the answer to these challenges. With a worldwide grid, the clean energy will be available everywhere, every time, and this will lessen the need of storage and increase the viability of the solar project. And some creative initiative in this field, the clean energy industries, the involvement with this grid initiative, the carbon footprint also reduced and the cost of energy will be come down. It will also foster of a spirit for the cooperation among different countries and the region of the world. It is fantastic that more than 80 countries have backed the newly launched those Green Grids initiative, whose collaboration will not only see greater growth but also jobs and investment in their global green future that also makes sure no one is left without access to the energy. That's a fantastic initiative, and that's the working hand in hand with the friends in India to transform the future of power sector and ensure the clean and reliable electricity that is accessible everywhere by the end of this decade. The Green Grids initiative is very important as we scale up those global cooperation on climate actions, and the increased electrification from the renewable energy is the key for the building the block for any emission reduction strategy to prevent the environment, to save the environment, and that connect different time zones represent the ambitious alternative to expensive storage on both the ends and that meet the climate commitment, also enhance the energy security and meet the development priorities in future. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.